Hello and welcome to the Pawn Pro Pod. Today we have Bravo's one and only Billy Booth. Hi, Billy.
Hey there. Good morning, Tally Mac.
How are you?
Good. Doing really good.
I was thinking we could just start by diving into sort of like pre-Bravo, post-Bravo. Um, Maybe tell us a little bit about your start at PawnMaster a long time ago.
Yeah. You're gonna make me feel old here. All right. Yeah. So most people know I was with Pawn Master Data Age for almost 30 years, 28 years. So when I first started there, it was just four of us. We had the two owners, me, and one other gentleman that did sales. So I was kind of brought in to do everything technical, tech support, IT. I ended up building the network there for all four of us. Um, so just to kind of give you an idea of how long ago that was, for tech support, like off-hour calls and things like that, we had a pager, a beeper. And if we were not at home to make a call from our home phone, we would have to find a payphone. So that's how long ago I started at Data Age. No internet at the point. It was everything. I think AOL had just kind of popped up. So pretty funny to think back on. And it said I remember being at a NFL football game on a payphone. I'm being like, all right, type C:\\/ and hit enter. Because back then it was all DOS based. There wasn't
Yeah.
even a Windows program yet. So I started out there, was doing tech support. At the same time, I was going to school to get all my Microsoft certifications and things like that. So I didn't think I was going to be at Data Age very long, to be honest. I didn't know anything about the pawn industry. I went in there young. I mean, I was a kid when I started there and started to learn the pawn industry. But also, my background was IT. I went and got my MCSE, all my Cisco certifications and things like that. So didn't really think I was going to become a programmer. I was more on the IT side of things. And so while I was going to school, again, what we needed there at the time, we were starting to build, the first couple of years we were on the DOS program, and we knew we had to build a Windows-based platform. So started to get into learning development a little bit, really started writing reports first in SQL. Not going to geek out too much here as far as on the technical stuff, but really, they needed somebody to be able to program as well. So as we started to build out the classic system, that PawnMaster that's been around, that's still got a lot of users on it. We had just a few of us. Randy, who was one of the owners, myself, and a couple other developers. That was it. We were in house. We were all multitasking, so it wasn't uncommon to take a support call, get off the support call, hear what they wanted, and then go in and code it and send it, send it out. So it was crazy, like just a few people, and you could do everything. Then as time went on, we started to build out the classic system. So I learned development, was helping out there. I was always the IT guy, so as far as like making sure our networks are up and running and things like that. As the company grew, and it grew, we went through growing pains just like any other company. We started to hire on more people, more tech support, because as we were putting on, we got up to a couple thousand customers, so we had a big tech support department. So then I took over, I was in tech support, then I started managing tech support. So at that point, I think I had maybe 7 or 8 tech support people that I was managing. Still running IT, still doing development on the side, but now we had a few full-time developers. This was FoxPro for the classic system. So from there, ended up getting into a whole bunch of stuff. At one point, I did all the graphic design work, so any of the ads you saw in the magazines, any of the marketing, I did all of our SEO work for a little while. So I learned SEO, and so kind of again, when you're a company that's small and you're growing, you have people that have to be able to do multiple tasks, things like that. So I got to do a little bit of everything, and I like that. I like the fact that a jack of all trades, and I really like graphic design, and I could never draw, so this gave me a way to do artwork without having to be able to draw. Or actually be able to be an artist. So so many different roles that I had there. But finally, when classic, great program, it did what it needed to do. But we knew that at some point we were going to have to build a cloud-based software. We went in and tried it a couple times. I wasn't involved with that at first, and we had I mean, building cloud-based software not easy. You know that better than anybody, right? Hard, especially for this industry,
Yeah.
but more so expensive. We knew it was going to be difficult. I don't think we ever realized how expensive it was going to be to build cloud-based software. So we got into it. They had a couple false starts, asked me to join that team. So then I took over. And the last 5 to 6 years at Data Age, I was running the development teams for the Ignite product, which was our cloud-based system. And really, fully, again, bringing in developers, not cheap. I mean, you're talking high six-figure salaries for these guys, and so it was tough, and resources were tough to get, and so we went through, and that's again when the Bravo acquisition happened. That's what I was doing. We were putting people onto Ignite product. We were trying to catch up to what Bravo had, and like I said, there was still a lot of things that we needed to get into the product, but that's what we were working on. That's kind of where it finished up.
I think I have like half of your years. I think I've been at Bravo for 14 years. But similarly, I've done like everything besides finance, and I guess that's sort of it. Like coding. I've never coded, but I've been part of product, and I've overhauled billing systems, and I've done our ads before, all of our marketing decks, selling, onboarding. I had one, like my last onboarded store was like a multi-store, and they were coming from Pondex, I think. And it was like we were up 3 nights in a row converting these stores. And I was like, okay, that's good for me on onboarding.
Yeah.
I'll work daytimes, I'll work support, but like onboarding overnight, because you're just waiting a lot of time. Like there's just so much dead time. And then trying to contact and communicate and verify with a customer at like 3 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, that was the accounting side. I had no interest. That was the one part I never got into at all. Like, I didn't want to have anything to do with that.
Let the
But
numbers
everything
people
else,
do the numbers things.
yeah, exactly.
So tell me a little bit. I asked Alex this question too, like what your impression was when Bravo came in. I think it was like January 28th or the 29th, right after we acquired PawnMaster. What was that like for you? How did you feel about it? I guess your initial thoughts, and then sort of as time has gone on.
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, obviously, I was on the executive team, so I had an idea ahead of time, of what was going to happen. But I didn't know how. I just knew that it was happening. And then when it did happen, Tally, you came in, brought your team in here to our offices in Clearwater. I was a little nervous. I went back and forth. I didn't know. First of all, my first thought was, are they going to keep us? And the one thing that was really impressive was you kind of just squashed that right away. You talked to everybody. You let everybody know that what the plans were. I came out of that day feeling really comfortable as far as moving forward because again, I had to decide whether I wanted to go. It was just,
Right.
I could go somewhere else, or I could stay on with Bravo and see what's going on. So I didn't know which way I was going to go with that until you guys came in, and more so when I started looking at the software. I had all these preconceived ideas about the Bravo software, because remember, one of the things that I didn't mention that I did in all of my jobs, which I think is really important, is I demoed our software. I was the one demoing for 12 years. I was the only one. So thousands and thousands of demos of selling against Bravo.
Right.
So all of a sudden now I'm going, so what, I've heard all these things about the software. I'm like, from what I understand, the software is not that great, so, because again, I've heard all these things.
Yeah.
So one of the funny things is getting in, and I'm like, well, I'm going to give it a shot. What they're showing me, and you guys did a quick demo and really talked about what your roadmap looked like and some of the things that you're getting into. And then I got really excited, I'm a nerd, so I want to the technology. And again, where Data Age was, we didn't have the resource. We weren't going to get to the point where we could put in the things, and not in any kind of time frame that was, realistic.
Right.
So to see that you guys were already there, and seeing the things that you're already working on, I was blown away, and that's what really got me excited. So then I started diving in. I'm like, all right, let's see what this is really all about. And it was crazy to see how wrong, some of the things that we had been saying. And again, it wasn't lies. It was just that was what we thought. What we were being told either by customers or somebody somewhere along the line. We would hear something, and of course, when you're selling against somebody, you run with that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this person said that it does this. So we're going to hammer that.
Yeah, totally.
So it's just how the demos go. But again, it was really cool to see, and the amount of time that I've been here now. I'm actually doing the demos now for Bravo, and to go back and think about the things that I was saying then and what I'm doing now, we're so completely different. And again, that's what's really been crazy for me is the selling against something and then finding out that a lot of what I was saying was just incorrect. Just
Yeah, I think, going into the acquisition and like the 6 months leading up to it, by the time we knew, like, okay, I think something's going to happen, we spent a ton of time thinking about the team, right? That was like the first most important thing to me. When we acquired CompuPawn, some of like Bravo's best employees are still at Bravo and they came from CompuPawn. So I just knew that like after this acquisition, some of our best employees would again be PawnMaster employees. And so that part was like the most critical thing to me, is how do we integrate our teams? And we were like such fierce competitors for so long that it was a lot of thought was put into the first few days and how we get everybody cohesive. Then we ended that and we went right into sales kickoff, where we then like integrated our sales teams, because I figured the sales team was going to be the most like resistant or sort of like competitive, because you're you're like literally in a boxing ring, kind of like selling against these people. Their names are flying, who you're trying to win the deal from. You win and you're like, yes, like check mark, got one. So that was the where we spent the most time in preparation. But the thing that was, I guess, not on the top of my mind, was that what PawnMaster customers believe is also what your demo looks like. And that, I think, is the challenge today, is sort of breaking down these preconceived notions that, when people took PawnMaster demos and they were told about our platform by PawnMaster when we were competing, it's just different now. And I think we thought that, well, we didn't really think about that. We thought about the employees really a lot, but then getting customers across that line, like, just take a look. Like, I think you'll be surprised at what you see today.
Yep.
That's been, I think, the next kind of like challenge that we've been trying to overcome. What are a few of the myths or things that you thought you knew about Bravo that now that you're in the system, demoing the system, you're like, whoa, that's different?
Well, there's a few. At first, let me say the other thing that I was really impressed with, going to what you just said, is Bravo did a really good job ahead of time of finding out what some of the things that were in Classic and or even in Ignite for that matter, and getting a full understanding of those things before the acquisition took place. And you guys were already building to those, which I thought was an amazing thing. And again, just goes to show that really Bravo is trying to make the transition as easy as possible for these Classic customers. I mean, that kind of brings me to the very first thing is, what I always heard was just, one of the things was how difficult Bravo is to use. The software is just convoluted, it's difficult, it takes forever to do loans, and things like that. Now, obviously the easy answer to that would be, well, look, there's a learning curve to every software. I'm used to PawnMaster, I've ran it for 30 years, so of course Bravo is going to look different and difficult, but I think there's a lot more to it than that. I think when you think about the Classic system, it was built to be simple. And that's exactly what Classic is. It's simple. It wasn't built to make you money, as far as like all the additional features, revenue driving features. It was built as a software that could print your pawn tickets. It could do the basics for you. And that's great. We got a big customer base with that product. But even we knew at Data Age that we couldn't sustain that. We had to get a cloud-based system built. We had to be able to keep up with technology. We had to be able to build to e-commerce. And the e-commerce that we had in Classic was not e-commerce. It was a disaster, actually. It lost us more customers than it gained. So we didn't have e-commerce. We didn't have really a mobile app. We didn't have, and there was no way we could get those things. It was never going to
Right.
happen. We used text to pay for, just making payments. But to me, the mobile pawn app for Bravo is way more than that. And that's one thing that does bother me a little bit is I'll hear somebody say, well, we don't really want to take payments. We don't want to take payments over an app. We don't want people paying from outside the shop because we want foot traffic coming through the door and all that. And you know what? If that's what you want at your shop or don't want, fine. But you know what? Mobile app has 5 other features to it
Yeah.
that are amazing. And you
Yeah.
know what? You're going to cut your cost on your messages because now you're not paying the text message fee. It's free,
Right.
to send the messages. So there's all these different things. Having somebody shop your inventory, and if they buy something, you're not paying those fee fees I call them.
Yeah.
So it's just all these other amazing things in the mobile pawn app that again goes beyond. If you don't want to take payments from outside the shop, fine. But I mean, these are the things, like I said, that we couldn't get into Classic. So we started to try to build those into Ignite, and we had our Pawn Portal, which was a progressive web app. So it was really just a website that was built for mobile capabilities, not the same as an app. You're not going out to the app store and bringing it down like you do with Bravo. So we knew we had to get to that point. So going back and hearing, okay, well, Bravo is more difficult and it takes a lot longer to learn and stuff like that. There's a lot more to it. You can take something easy. If I told you to memorize 5 numbers, you're going to memorize those 5 numbers pretty easy. If I ask you to memorize 50 numbers, it's going to be a lot harder to do.
Yeah.
So as you add things to a program, and let's face it, the pawn industry is not easy. It's not easy to build software for it. It's 50 different softwares if you're just in the United States.
Yeah.
Every single one of those is a different piece of software and configured. And in Classic, we also had customizations so far.
A lot.
It, be-
A lot
it,
of
be- it became unsustainable. You
Yeah.
can't, and that's part of the problem is we couldn't, you have a call that comes in to support and they're using something that nobody else has. You can't even support it. So there was things that, like I said, that, yeah, is Bravo a little bit more of a learning curve than Classic? Yeah, I would say so still, even now that I know both products. But it's just because
Yeah.
there's more to learn. You're going to have to learn the e-commerce. But
Yeah.
it's not hard at all. It's just a matter of getting used to it and knowing that there's more to it. If I want to use the mobile app, I need to learn how to do the mobile app before I can teach it to my customers and things like that. So for that's one of them. And then the speed. This is the funniest one is I heard some crazy stuff. So like we would hear that, oh, to put a pawn into Bravo, you're looking at 8 minutes, best case scenario.
I know you guys put that clock on your website, and I would
Yes,
go
yes.
in and I would test it, and I'm like, what? Like I can write loans faster than the clock is
Oh
ticking.
my God. The clock was to show how fast you could do it in Classic. But here's the difference. I can actually now write a pawn in Bravo 3 times faster than I can do it in Classic. And I'm not kidding. And the reason being is everything's already pre-cataloged for you.
Right.
So if I go in and I want to write a pawn in Bravo now, I can just type in, say, PS5, type in the customer or scan their barcode or scan their license, even better, and then just put in the pawn amount and hit save. I don't have to go through all the drop downs and stuff like that. So it's actually way faster. Now, where the confusion comes in or where people were saying it took so long was the evaluator. Or the estimator. So with the estimator, yes, if you're not familiar with the item and you want to go through and you want to describe things to get a better understanding of the value of it, which leads to another myth, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, is the estimator can help you with that. It's going to tell you not only, what it's selling for online, but what other pawn shops using Bravo. And in some cases, like PS5, I think there was like 60,000, that it was
A
looking
lot
at.
of transactions.
Right. So you're getting a really good idea of what that is, but you don't have to. You can bypass the estimator. Same thing with like the jewelry. You have a free form. So if I have somebody come and drop a bag of 20 rings, I don't have to sit there and go through the jewelry estimator and pop in every ring. I can just go to the free form. So these are things that I know that Bravo has added because of the fact that they're trying to make the transition from Classic over to Bravo much easier. And that's, like I said, I thought that was great when I heard that. But that was, the speed of, being able to put in a pawn and how slow it was. And we were told that the reason it took that long, by the way, was because you had to take the time to get everything into a, ready for buya.com. So it made you go through this big questionnaire, so you had to spend 10 minutes describing this item because you were going to put it on buya.com. And you know what? It might not even get sold because the customer could come pick it up. These were things that, like I said, that we were saying.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's what that's what we believed. I promise you, I wasn't lying. That's what we thought the
Yeah.
program was. So it was crazy to see it and go, wow, that's not right at all. The things that we thought about the product turned out to not be even close. Which brings me to the estimator. That's the other myth. So the estimator, we would say, because the Classic has the price guide, which is just looking at data from your store. So for us, we would use that. We would say, listen, we don't care what anybody else is doing. You
Yeah.
care about what you're doing, right? So that was one of the big selling points too. But the estimator, we believed, was only coming from BIA. And then
Yeah.
the other misconception was that BIA was opened up to everybody, like not just pawn shops, but any Joe Schmo could go list items on BIA. So we would say, listen, those numbers are not going to be accurate.
Yeah.
Can't be. Not with people out there putting it, whatever they need. If somebody needs rent money, they might be selling something way under value, or
Yeah.
maybe they're selling it way. So we were going, those numbers are not going to be accurate coming through. Well, come to find out, first of all, BIA's only pawn shops that can sell on there. And two, it's not just using BIA, it's using all the stores that are using Bravo to come up with those numbers, looking at what they're actually selling the item for, what the pawns are for it. You can set your percentages and all that. So again, that was another big one is where the numbers were coming from for the estimator, which, like I said, it's so funny. I feel silly now. Like I said, looking back at it, thinking about what we would say on these demos, and I'm going, wow, man, like this is just not even close to
They
what.
were hard objections to overcome because people would, see a PawnMaster demo and then they would come take a Bravo demo and they would, customers would say something like, well, I just want my region or I just want my state or I just want my store's specific information. And we've come to adopt most of the store requests. So we do just show a lot of store data. Again, part of trying to make the transition from PawnMaster to Bravo easier. But when you talk about like 60,000 transactions and sort of the power of BI and now AI and machine learning and the things that we've been doing for really since like 1998 was when we first launched the estimator. Um, it's, I think it's one of the coolest features in Bravo, but it's hard to wrap your head around everything that it's doing for you.
Yeah, and again, that comes back to what I said as far as getting good training and understanding,
Yeah.
and that brings me to the other part is when we talked about it being hard to use, the learning management systems, the knowledge base. I mean, we didn't have a knowledge base. I mean, I learned the entire system. Well, now I'm more of a reader. I like to read stuff. I tend to absorb things that I read. So when I started with Bravo, the first thing as I did was go into the knowledge base and just started reading every article.
Yeah.
I wanted to know how to use the system. I wanted to know everything there was to know about it because, again, I was trying to decide what my career, I mean, when
Yeah.
you're going,
Yeah.
hey, am I going to stay with this company or am I going to go elsewhere? So I really wanted to understand what all it did, and I'm super excited. I said when you guys had me at AI, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
When you said did yours, I was like, oh yeah, this is exactly where I need to be. So like I said, I get really excited about the technology side of things. Now I'm excited about being able to help with the transition for customers, moving from Classic, and that's why, I moved over to the sales side. Development and things like that, you guys have that handled. I'm not going to come in and write any code that you haven't seen already. But what I can do is talk to the customers, demo the customers that are on Classic, and let them see what they're missing.
Yeah.
Why they're not able to compete with somebody down the road who has all these features, and
Right.
letting their customers make payments from outside the shop. We're getting to that age where, when I say age, I don't mean like our age, but we're getting to the point of technology is just, with AI and everything else, it's hard to keep up with. I mean, it's getting crazy. I mean, look at all the tools we use at Bravo for AI. I mean,
Yeah.
almost everything is, from Scribe to all these. So almost everything now is automated for you. And again, Classic's never going to get there. We're not
Yeah.
going to continue to build onto it. So it's becoming quickly outdated. It was already, like I said, we knew we had to build a cloud-based system. So
Yeah.
it's always been outdated. It's just easy to stay with, And again, I want to get people to realize that you're missing out and you're not getting the revenue generating features that you need to compete.
Totally. I think maybe one way to think about that too is like IT cost versus IT investment. And I think of PawnMaster Classic being sort of a cost, right? It's just a tech cost. Um, Whereas I think Bravo is more of a tech investment where you can expect to put money into Bravo and see money come out. Whereas with PawnMaster, you're going to put money in and you're going to get something that, to your point, is simple. It's going to print the tickets, it's going to do what you need to run your business and do it compliantly, but it's not going to yield percentages and big percentages more in your end of year kind of gross profit numbers. That's just not probably what Classic is going to do. So,
Correct.
yeah.
Absolutely.
What are you most excited about as far as Bravo goes? Is it AI or any products or anything that's coming that gets you excited?
Yeah, the big one for me, because I was in the middle, I've actually designed it for the Ignite product, is the gun range. I had already done all the schedulers and stuff like that, so seeing where they're at with that already. I don't know if it's
No,
a
you can say
secret.
it. It's okay. Yeah.
No, I guess I don't know if it's going to be a big unveiling. So
Wow.
yeah, that's what's got me excited. No, AI definitely. I think as we continue, to build AI products and things into the software, I think that's really where everything's going. But right now, what I like is this range software. I, really want to get some input into it. And honestly, just seeing what they already have with it, really cool. That's what I'm excited about. Is I think that's something takes the software to a whole different level.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited for that. If you're watching this and you have a range or you're thinking of opening a range, I think we're opening our beta range product in October, and version 1 will come out in January 2025. So that's going to be an awesome release. Our next big release is in October, and we've got a lot more things coming. So, especially, the PawnMaster to Bravo kind of functionality. And trying to make that transition as easy as possible, always. So,
Awesome.
if you could tell a PawnMaster customer that's in the middle of transitioning or about to make the switch or just made the switch, if you could give them one piece of advice, what would it be?
Give it time. Like I said, learn the software. Go through and do the trainings, because it's real easy to get into something and go, this is so different. I'm not going to do it. Don't do that. Give it time. Make sure that you're giving it a chance, because overall, it is going to work out. It's going to be a better software for you. You just have to, like I said, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. It's a different software. No matter what anything you change is going to be a change. So you have to get used to it. It'll be worth it. Trust me.
All right. I think that's it. That's all I've got for you. Any other last kind of questions or comments or takeaways?
No, just like I said, I thank you for, again, making the transition pretty easy. I'm still
Yeah.
here, so I decided to stay on. We talked about, and I just, like I said, I am really, really excited about where the software is going, and I look forward to talking to a lot of the PawnMaster customers I've known for years and years and years. So give me a call directly. Most of you have my cell phone number. We can talk. I'll tell you exactly what I'm saying on this podcast. And like I said, let's set up a demo, man. Let me show it to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Billy.
All right.
All
Thank
right,
you, Sally.
bye.
All right. Bye-bye.